right, we're back in Studio T1000 as there's a bit of a Big Salad reference for some of you longtime fans there as, I'm back at home now. Had a great first 2 semesters. Yeah, it'd be 2 semesters, right? 2 semesters at college. Very much enjoyed my time, but now I'm back for the summer. So back in Studio T1000 no longer. We'll be recording in my dorm room. My roommate Evan gets to have a couple months off, a couple months to relax and be without me recording while he puts on noise-canceling headphones. So, what do I want to address first? Well, goodness, it's been a little while since you last heard my voice. Well, that's not true. I completely lied there. You could listen to me literally whenever you want. These videos don't go away. I mean, we can watch the first episode. We can do a little watch along of the first episode if you want, but I don't really think it's really funny to me because, like, as times went on, I thought to myself, I don't need to put episode blank, like episode 95 hyphen what it's about, because it's not like it's a TV show, right? Like, it's not like you need to watch episode 1, episode 2, episode 3. You don't have to. If you feel like skipping episode 56 because it just wasn't a topic you were interested in, okay, you don't care of watching my 2023 NFL preview. You don't care to watch that? That's fine, no worries. So it's just kind of funny because I thought, well, I don't want to change it because then I'd have to go through and change all of them to putting. What I would do is I would put the title first and then I would put a hyphen, episode, whatever, right? But I don't feel like going through and changing them all, so I just continue to do it with this system. I guess you could also be watching the YouTube channel, which is always in the description, which is Ryan Klinger. And I'm on there every day except for Sundays. I take Sundays off. I don't upload a new skit on Sundays. Pretty excited about that channel. I got some longer skits I'm going to start making over there within the coming weeks. So that'll be very exciting, putting that over there. And he's just continuing to make the little short skits. So it's been a good time. I very much enjoy that. But, it always comes back to the Sort of Sports podcast. It's my oldest thing, pretty much. It's kind of really weird. I think we're going to be going up on episode 100, which is absolutely wild. 100. I feel like I should do something special for 100, but I don't really have anything special planned. I don't really have anything I could think of. We'll be going on the 4-year anniversary, but I feel like 4 years isn't as impressive as the 100 episodes because we were only on episode 50 not even last year, it was 10 months ago. So I really ramped up the amount of episodes in this last year. So, anyways, let's get into it. This is going to be relatively unscripted, which my mom always hates when I have episodes like that. So, if you've made it this far into the video, Mother, and you're not interested, time to click off. All right, so first thing let's talk about is the NFL draft. My mock draft, I didn't even get the first 3 right. I feel like usually in most drafts, I'm pretty comfortable with predicting the first 3 picks. And then after that, you're not sure. In this draft, I felt like the number 1 was guaranteed. The number 4 was guaranteed. You knew it was going to be Caleb 1, Marv 4. Everything else was kind of up in the air. I went for the riskier pick. I thought Drake May would go to the Commanders, and I thought the Patriots would get Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels ended up going number 2 to the Commanders, which was probably the safer pick. I went risky on Drake May. I really did. But I pretty much selling all my Jaden Daniels stock. I just truly believe whatever quarterback goes to Washington isn't going to be very good because I think that organization is just an absolute shambles, and I don't think they know what they're doing. So, sorry, Jaden Daniels. I have no faith in you because you went to the commies. And then as far as Drake May goes, I just bought thousands upon stock of him. That's not even proper grammar, but you know what I mean. I bought a lot of stock in Drake May as soon as he went to that Patriots organization. I feel like I like what they're doing. I think they're keeping the defense together, which was a surprisingly solid defense last year. So it made sense to me why they did that. And then as far as the head coach hire, I like Gerard Mayo. I'm very interested to see what he can do there. I'm very intrigued by that Patriots team in a division that's getting worse. I would say, well, the Jets are getting better, but I don't think the Finns are changing at all. And then I don't really think that the Bills are getting better, obviously. Sorry to sorry to tell you that. But yeah, so to me, I liked Drake May going there a lot. I bought a lot of Drake May stock. I was listening to Bill Simmons' podcast. They were talking about a lot of positive things with him. Family of athletes, always the younger brother that had to go up against the bigger, stronger brothers. Had offers to transfer from UNC, but said, no, this is my team. This is my program. I want to stay here. Nothing but great things I've been hearing about him through all the stuff I listened to. So I'm very, very excited for that Patriots season. I actually think it's going to be I think Drake May might, as far as Drake May has replaced Jane Daniels in my quarterback rankings. And you're like, oh, well, you can't do that. You had Jane Daniels higher. Jane Daniels went to the Commanders. I don't have any faith in somebody going to the Commanders. It's just the facts. So it's now JJ, Drake, and Caleb are like my top three. Probably in that order, too. I know Caleb Williams at 3. I'm a crazy person. I know we're all hyping up Caleb like crazy. I know. But I got to see it, too. I really think that division is an excellent division. I think the Vikings had the best draft out of any team. Yeah, that's right. I said it. What are the 2 most important positions on each side of the field? Pass rusher on defense, quarterback on offense. What did the Texans draft last year? Pass rusher, and a quarterback. It worked out very well for them. Vikings did the same thing this year. Dallas Turner, J.J. McCarthy. Now, is J.J. McCarthy C.J. Stroud? Definitely not. Is Dallas Turner Will Anderson? Probably not. But the fact that they're doing similar things is very impressive to me. So that's why I think the Vikings had the absolute best draft. I know it's mostly off the first round alone, but I truly did think they killed it. They got 2 of my favorite players in the draft. They got my top defensive prospect and the quarterback. I don't think JJ is the top quarterback. I think probably the top quarterback prospect is Williams, then Drake May, then JJ. Well, maybe Jaden or JJ. Maybe JJ above Jaden. I don't know. I was pretty high on Jaden there. My judgment's being shrouded by the fact that he went to the commies. But regardless, I think I should, before the beginning of the season, I'll do a ranking of how successful I think every quarterback will be when we look back in 10 years. And I just think JJ's going to the best situation for any rookie quarterback. I know some people think the Bears are. I think that Minnesota team is a better situation. I think they have better receivers. I think the defense is getting improved over this offseason. So I really like the Dallas Turner pick. So I really like what Minnesota has going. And that division's really interesting because people like the Bears a lot, but yet on paper in my book, they look like they're going to be last in that division. I don't see the Vikings going last in that division. I think the Packers are a popular wild card pick. And then the Lions, I feel like, are going to win it. So it's going to be a very tough division. I think the North and both conferences are going to be the 2 best divisions, which is just interesting to me that apparently the North is it's all the old football teams too. It's all the teams that have been around forever that are in those divisions. So it's kind of fun. But as far as the shocking pick, the Michael Penix Jr. pick, that was just crazy. I was watching that. Also, the Chargers taking Joe Alt. So on brand for Jim Harbaugh. I can't believe I took them to take a receiver. I should have known Jim was just going to go O-line. I can't believe I messed that up. I really can't believe I didn't see that coming. But yeah, Jim went O-line. I should have expected him to do that. That was dumb by me. But anyways, the Penix Jr. picked the Falcons. This is just, it doesn't make any sense to me. You pay Kirk Cousins an absorbing amount of money, and I like Kirk a lot. So I'm happy to see him get it. But then you turn around and draft a quarterback at the 8th pick in the draft, and you could have got they could have gotten Laiatu Latu. They could have went for Dallas Turner. They could have went for Quinyon Mitchell. Like, they could have done a lot of different things defensively, even offensively. Maybe you get Brock Bowers and see if you have Kyle Pitts trade value. I don't know. Maybe you use both of them. I don't care. But goodness, what are you doing? What are you doing? So that was... I know they think, okay, well, it's like the Alex Smith-Mahomes thing. First off, I don't think Penix is Mahomes. Second off, Alex Smith wasn't on a contract like Kirk Cousins is. That's the big difference there, guys. And then Bo Nix going Broncos. See, remember when I did my mock and I said I had Penix going to the Broncos, and I was like, look, I wouldn't take Penix here, but I think the Broncos are desperate. It's exactly what happened, except it was even worse than I thought. I don't think Bo Nix is that good. I had a friend of mine go, well, I thought you thought he was a pretty good pickup. I was like, yeah, as a 4th-round quarterback, not as the 12th pick in the draft. Insane. Absolutely nuts. So, I don't think Nix will be very good there. I don't think Penix will do very good in Atlanta. And I don't think Jaden Daniels will be very good for the Commies. I think McCarthy, Drake, and Caleb will be the 3 quarterbacks that are any good from this draft. That's just my thoughts. As far as what the Panthers did, I liked trading up for Xavier. To me, that made a ton of sense because, taking him made a ton of sense. I was a little concerned, why did we trade up? Like, why did we do that? But then somebody pointed out to me, I think it was on Twitter, somebody pointed out, like not to me personally, but like I read that then you get the 5th-year option, and that makes sense. So if he does really well in his first 4 years and you get a 5th-year option, you don't have to immediately sign him to a big contract extension. So you're basically 5 years guaranteed if he's good, which is pretty smart by them, so I give him credit. As far as the Bills trading with the Chiefs, that was absolutely wild. That was wild. And then Keon Coleman being the guy, it's like, is Keon Coleman really better than Xavier Worthy? I'm not sure. Especially when they could have had, I know my buddy Braden, who's been on the podcast before, really wanted them to take Adonai Mitchell, or Adonai, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, and then they didn't do that either. But yeah, it was interesting trading with the Chiefs. I did not see them doing that. And it's funny with Xavier Worthy because it's one of those where, like, if the Panthers took Xavier Worthy, I'd be like, don't really like the prospect. But when the Chiefs take him, I'm like, oh, he's going to be a monster there. Because it's just, you give Andy Reid is really good at finding what a player is good at, like their 1 or 2 things they're good at, and just making them do those 1 or 2 things. Like he only puts his players in positions to succeed. If you're not any good at slot routes, he will only run you outside deep. Like that's all he'll do. So I think with Xavier Worthy, he knows he's fast. He's just gonna use as much of the speed as he can. I think that's what Andy Reid's gonna do. And I think it's gonna be pretty successful for them. So Xavier Worthy will probably be a solid pickup in fantasy this year if he's there in like the 2nd round. Or 3rd round. If he's there in the 3rd round, take him, please. He'll probably put up some nutty numbers, not going to lie. Okay, I think that's it for my NFL draft thoughts. Let's check the script and see what I wanted to talk about next. We did a thing in class. We were talking about the MLB and how it could be more popular, et cetera, et cetera. I would say my big thing is to make the games more readily available. I think they do a really bad job of Bally Sports is hard to access. Like, YouTube TV doesn't have it. Dish Network doesn't have it. So that's a big cable company. And then YouTube TV is obviously a huge streaming platform. And neither of them have it. I think DirecTV has it. Spectrum TV does as far as cable goes. And then I believe, Fubo has Bally. And I just think a lot of your local MLB teams are on there, and so they need to fix that up and make the local games more readily available because you get more fans that way. And I also believe that what would really help them out is they always do their big Sunday Night Baseball, right? Put together a weekly show that's like inside the NBA, where it's Pedro Martinez, David Ortiz, A-Rod, and somebody else, right? And you have the 4 of them, just chop it up. All the latest in the last week of MLB, just a wrap-up of big moments, big trades, like they just had the Luis Arias trade the other day, and that Marlins GM who says we don't believe we're a playoff team, even though they're a month and a half into the season. Not even a month and a half, just a month into the season. And he's like, yeah, we don't see us as a playoff team. Goodness, I can't stand that guy. He frustrates me to no end. He thinks he's like a big analytics, sabermetrics smarty pants, but he just doesn't understand, he thinks being good at math makes him a great GM, and that's not how it works. He's going to ruin the Marlins. Now, granted, it's not like the Marlins are that good anyway, but he's not going to make them any better, and that's frustrating because you guys know I have a soft spot for the Marlins. I am very happy the A's are doing well, though. That makes me super, super happy. I don't know why I keep yawning. I've yawned 3 times while recording this. I would cut that, but I think I'm just going to leave it and it'll be all right. Hopefully someone laughs while listening to this. But anyways, Gosh, I got so mad talking about that Marlins GM. I forgot where it was. Oh, yeah. I think every week before Sunday Night Baseball, I have like a half-hour show that's just Pedro, Ortiz, A-Rod, somebody else, just chopping it up, talking about everything latest in the MLB, highlights, important trades, important things to keep out for, who's leading in each category. Just a little weekly wrap-up show that covers the last week in MLB and then preps you for the Sunday night game. I think that would be awesome. I think that would be great. I think people would tune in for that. It would be appointment viewing. And then even if people don't tune in, they would see it on social media, clips from it. And I think that would really help boost viewership. I think people would really enjoy that. So that's just a little idea I've had. And if anybody thinks it's a good idea or thinks it's a bad idea, feel free to tell me, because I thought it was pretty cool. So just my thoughts on the MLB. Would switch it over to the NBA. I think Jokic is kind of having Giannis's career arc. I think we all kind of expected Giannis. Well, I don't know if we all. I think a lot of people. After Giannis won that first one, I was like, okay, how many is it going to be? Like, there's no way this is his only one. And it feels like right now the Nuggets have a chance to potentially go back-to-back this year and maybe even three-peat next year. And Jokic is about to get his third MVP. He's been definitively the best player in the NBA for the last 2 years. I think Jokic is kind of having, I think, what a lot of people, like at least what I thought, Giannis's career would be like, where every year you're like, okay, if you're going to win the finals, you got to beat this guy. Because I used to say, if you're going to win the East, you got to go through Giannis. And I got to admit, I'm wrong. Like, Giannis is really good. I think Giannis is the second best player in the NBA. I think Giannis is super good, but that Bucks team is not good enough around him for me to justify, just thinking that they're going to run the East, because they don't. That team is not that good, and I don't know really what the answer is going to be for Milwaukee, but I'm starting to believe maybe Giannis spends his whole career there and just has that one ring that means a lot, kind of like a Hakeem Olajuwon thing. Hakeem has 2 rings that mean a lot. That's really it. Or like Dirk Nowitzki has 1 ring and it means a lot, and that's really it. And that might be Giannis's career arc if he chooses to not leave. And I really hope he doesn't leave. I think it would mean a lot if he stayed at the Bucks forever. But I think Jokic is kind of having the arc that I think a lot of people thought Giannis would get, which is just like you are the guy for a generation. And I think Jokic, when we look back on this decade, might end up being the guy. He might have 2-3 rings. Like if he three-peats, that would be insane. The first three-peat since Shaq and Kobe, and Nikola Jokic was the best. Like, that would be insane. And as much as I love Jamal Murray, he's not Kobe. So that's just craziness to me. Now, granted, I'm saying all this as I'm about to pivot and say that I think the one team that could beat the Nuggets in the NBA is the Timberwolves. And if they do, Anthony Edwards' popularity is going to go stratospheric. We're already seeing them market him heavy. I can't believe the fact that they haven't been marketing him this hard for a while. It's like I tweeted out a little while back, like it was like last week, I said every time the Timberwolves win, the NBA marketing team throws a party because they've been waiting for that new American guy they can market. They wanted it to be Zion. Obviously didn't work out. They wanted it to be Ja. Issues came in there. Anthony Edwards seemed like the guy, and he is now definitively becoming that guy they're going to market around. And if he wins a championship at the age of 22, best player on the team, that's going to spark some really interesting conversations. It's also going to spark some conversations about a player. I've always been very down on Rudy Gobert. Gobert has a chance to win his 4th Defensive Player of the Year this year and then potentially win a championship, and that's going to spark some uncomfortable conversations about where Rudy Gobert is as far as best centers ever, and just best defenders ever. 4-time DPOY champion, was on the team that stopped Jokic, who's one of the greatest offensive players ever. So it's going to have some interesting conversations if this Timberwolves team wins a title. But I honestly think that this second-round matchup, this second-round matchup between the Timberwolves and Nuggets, I honestly kind of think this is the finals. I think these are the 2 best teams. As far as the East goes, I think the Cavs easily lose the Celtics. I think the Knicks might be primed for a finals run. I think they've got the juice in them. I think it's a good team that plays tough, and I think they will beat Boston if they get there. I think the Knicks will. If the Pacers beat the Knicks, then the Pacers lose to the Celtics. But if the Knicks beat the Pacers, I think the Knicks will beat the Celtics, and we'll get a Knicks Nuggets finals or a Knicks Timberwolves finals. And I think either way, the West team wins it. Probably in 5, maybe 6, maybe. I think that Knicks team's just really solid all around. But it's really funny because if the Knicks had Randall healthy, they'd just be like poor man's Timberwolves. Like, because it's Brunson is like, Brunson's a worse version of Edwards, and then Randall's a worse version of Karl Anthony Towns, and Hartenstein's obviously a way worse version of Gobert. Now the Knicks are bad. I mean, the thing is, the Knicks have DiVincenzo and Hart, which the Timberwolves don't really have equivalents to that. But, I mean, who knows? They got DiVincenzo. We got Jay McDaniels. Hopefully everybody got that reference. But this Timberwolves team is very fun, and I just think if they can beat the Nuggets, that popularity for Anthony Edwards is going to go through the roof, and it's going to be him and Wemby and the Thunder are basically the 3 for the next 10 years that are probably going to be running the league. I think Jokic still might have it in him to get 1-2 more rings, but the next 10, 15 years in the NBA are probably going to be Anthony Edwards, Victor Wembanyama, and Shea and Chet if they stay together in the Thunder. To me, that's probably what you're looking at. Oh, Luka. Luka's going to be really good too, but I think Wemby and Edwards might be the 1-2 of the league. Probably Wemby over Edwards, because it's so funny, because it's like you got Wemby, who's like nothing we've ever seen before, and then you got Edwards, who's just the next version of the thing we've seen work before, which is MJ, Kobe, now Edwards. So I think it'd be interesting if those are the 2 best players in the NBA, because you got one who's like the classic build of a really good basketball player, and the other one who's like unlike anything we've ever seen. So it'd be kind of just a really cool like dichotomy there. I don't know. But yeah, as far as my predictions, I still think the Nuggets are going to win the finals. I think they'll beat the Timberwolves, but the Timberwolves did win one in Denver, which was absolutely crazy. I have to admit that was absolutely wild. Let me check real quick when they play again. Because maybe it's tonight. Oh, it's tonight at 9. All right. Well, that'll be super exciting. Okay, what else do I want to talk about? Oh, I don't know why the Magic aren't more popular. I honestly think they have a great aesthetic. I think it's just because they've been bad for a while. But if this team could consistently be pretty solid, like if they go to the playoffs again next year and win a playoff series, I think we could see the Magic become a little more popular. They're in a fun city that people vacation to a lot. Like a lot of people have been in Orlando. I think the city itself, they don't they only have a basketball team. They don't have a football team. They don't have an NHL team. They don't have an MLB team. Like Orlando's only thing is the Magic. So the people of Orlando, obviously, are into the Magic. They got the fun theme song now. They've got a fun young team. Like I think the Magic could really be a popular team. I think they'll be a team that goes to the finals one time and then loses to, the Spurs, Thunder, or whatever team Anthony Edwards is on. To me, that's just, I feel like we're going to be in an era pretty soon where it's just Spurs, Thunder, wherever Anthony Edwards is. If he's still with the Timberwolves, it'd be great. But it'd be like those 3 teams running the league. But granted, I say that, and they still got to go through the Nuggets. And, you still got to play the game at some point, right? So I should just shut my mouth. It's all speculation here. It's all speculation. But this Nuggets Timberwolves series has a lot on it. It's very interesting. All right, what's next for LeBron James? To be honest, I think he's definitely leaving, but I don't know where the answer is. Part of me believes Cleveland. And I want to also tell all of you, I've come to the realization I think the Pistons truly are my favorite team. Because I was kind of okay with the Cavs losing that playoff series, I'm not going to lie. But I think it'd be interesting if LeBron came back to Cleveland. I actually think he'd fit in really well there. And that would be what the Cavs are kind of missing to put him over the hump and make him a potential championship team. I think he would really fit in well. It's just, does he want to do that, right? Because really the only teams that make sense to me for him are the Cavs, the Mavericks, and the Golden State Warriors. I know you're laughing at me, but to me those are the only ones that make sense. I don't see him wanting to go to the Knicks and do all that with Tibbs and everything. I don't see that at all. So that's my thoughts on LeBron. What's next for Philly? I don't know what they're going to do, because when you're Philadelphia, it's like, what's really the next move here? Do you pivot and you get rid of Embiid and you make a Maxi's team? I mean, I guess you can do that. Maxi's really good, but I think Maxi's probably a lot better as the two-man to somebody better. But I feel like the Embiid thing might have run its course. It feels like both parties are frustrated. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out this summer. As far as the Bucks, I'm willing to bet they just run it back. I would be shocked if not, because I don't really know what else you do. It's like you need an influx of young talent, but there's no way to acquire that good young talent. They're just kind of stuck. All right. I just want to say, like, I've been ragging on the NBA for a little while about how it's not the best product, and I was been really pleasantly surprised with this playoffs. I think this playoffs has been really strong. I've been saying we've been having Hood Classic seasons, but I honestly do think, like, 22 and 23, as happy as I was with Jokic winning that finals, and as fun of a story as the Warriors winning it, I do think 21 is probably the best year we had. But even though it was full of injuries, that was a problem with 21. And then 20, like the playoffs was, 21 was. But then 22, I feel like not as many people were interested in that Warriors-Celtics finals as it should have been. And then 23, as much as I enjoyed it, I guess I take this back. We still been having Hood Classic seasons. We still have. But the problem is that the people, the general public, has not been intrigued by NBA basketball in a very long time. And I think this playoffs should start to intrigue some people. If the Knicks go to the NBA Finals, you're going to draw in a lot of people. That is literally just the truth. And it doesn't matter if that's against the Timberwolves and the Nuggets. And I know for a fact who Adam Silver wants to be in the finals if I asked him Timberwolves or Nuggets. Because if it's New York Knicks against Anthony Edwards, marketing money. Because if they lose to Edwards, Edwards will be permanently famous. And he'll be super popular everywhere but New York. So it'll be very intriguing to see how this all pans out. But I do still think the Nuggets win the finals. I think you see this become the hump Edwards has to get over, kind of like Jordan and the Pistons. It is like, this is the thing he can't get past. And when he eventually does get past the Nuggets, that's like his rite of passage, essentially, to being the face of the league. That's what I see. And then, of course, as soon as he gets there, then here comes the Wembanyama Spurs. And it's like, oh no. that could be the career story. We'll have to see. I've been in a real Star Wars mood lately, and this was like pre-May the 4th. This was like a week and a half before. I was just playing, my roommate was playing KOTOR, and I started playing it. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is really good. I've never played it. I just had it on Steam for a while, and I never played it. And so I started playing it, and I love it. So good. Probably within the next couple weeks, I'm going to go out and buy Jedi Survivor, because I really liked Fallen Order, but when Survivor came out, I just wasn't that interested. And now I'm like, okay, I really, really should play that. I would really enjoy that. So I'm going to get Survivor soon. And I've just really been in a great Star Wars mood. So this year, when it comes to the best films of the year, it's going to be tough because pretty much all the Star Wars movies are going to be on there. And I started Mandalorian, and I absolutely love it. It's so, so, so good, which I know is not a hot take. Like, I know everybody knows it's really good. I've just never watched it before. And I've never, it's really cool that they made a Western that's a Star Wars show. That's what it is. It's a Western Star Wars show. And that, oh my gosh, that's so up my alley. I just absolutely love it. Speaking of being so up my alley, we got The Fall Guy. The Fall Guy was an absolute banger. It was exactly what I wanted it to be. Went and saw it last night. It was just everything I wanted it to be. I was a little worried that the trailers showed me too much, and I was pleasantly surprised at the last 30 minutes of the movie I had never seen before. So I was, except like 2 shots. But those shots weren't the most pivotal moments. Like the plot elements that made it important, I didn't know. Because I thought the film's plot was going to be, it was that for like the first hour. And then the second hour, it shifted on me, and I was pleasantly surprised in the way it shifted. So that was really fun. I mean, Ryan Gosling, I think, killed it. I saw somebody tweet out a while back. They were like, "This feels like the type of movie that they meant to get Ryan Reynolds, and they accidentally called Gosling, and then went, yeah, sure." And I honestly don't think it works with Reynolds. I think the movie's very genuine, and by that I mean like there is a moment where he gives a cliche "I love you" speech, and it is played completely straight. There is not an ounce of irony. And I was happy to see that. Because sometimes things can be cheesy. The Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, the same like the ones Sam Raimi made, are incredibly cheesy. And everyone likes those. Because sometimes it's okay for something to be cheesy. And this movie was okay with being cheesy. And that was really fun to see. I really liked that. And I think this movie was very fun that way, where it wasn't constantly trying to look at the camera and go, get a load of this. It was very genuine. There were moments that were cliche that it was like, yeah, but it's okay. We're fine with being a little cliche here. And I liked that about it. At some point, cliches have to happen unironically for them to be made fun of. You know what I mean? And the reason I say is like there was a point when I forget what exactly was happening. But it was like an intense moment where like music was playing and he was staring at her, and there was never the cut where it was like, you know, he hits his head on something to like make a joke, like ha ha ha, you know, we made fun of the staring at someone while music romantic cliche, where she like walks into something. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Where it's like the girl would show up and it's like Dreamweaver, and then she like walks into a telephone pole, and it's all like ah ha ha ha, we played with the cliche. No, this movie would just show the person, play Dreamweaver, move on. Wouldn't be like, haha, we got you, irony. No. And I was okay with that. It was a funny movie. It did make me laugh. A lot of the moments made me laugh were just Gosling's performance, and I think that is why you couldn't have Reynolds, because Reynolds is too look at the camera, wink, wink, which is why he's Deadpool. And that would not work. His style of comedy would not work for this. And, yeah, this worked very well, in my opinion. Jeremy Jans in his review said that it needed a VHS release, and I think it's very accurate. He also said it feels like it came out between Lethal Weapon and Rush Hour, and I would also agree with that. This feels like a very early 90s action comedy. It's exactly what it feels like. Granted, it's not modern times, right? It has modern, you know, they have smartphones, etc. But the vibe of it, and the music they use, like they play, like "I Was Made for Loving You" is like one of the main songs they play in it, and it just feels like if this came out in 1992, it would have been a box office smash. And I don't understand the fact it's not doing the best at the box office right now. Like it absolutely breaks my heart, because I'm like, everybody's always saying they want something new, and you know they want a new original. I get that this is based off an 80s TV show, but let me tell you something right now. Never watched a single minute of that old show. And there's a post-credit scene that references it, and that's it. That's completely it. If you really don't want it to have it spoiled for you, don't listen to the next 10 seconds. Lee Majors shows up in a post-credit scene, and it references the show, because he's like, I'm the fall guy. He doesn't say that, but that's the reference. Okay, so there went the spoiler for the post-credit scene. And I don't get the argument where it's like, oh, well, no one's seen the TV show, so no one's going to come out to see this. I don't think they didn't really market it around it being a remake of the TV show. That was just like a thing on the side, because it was just marketed as a Ryan Gosling, Emily Blunt action comedy. And directed by the guy who made Bullet Train. And I liked this a lot more in Bullet Train, because Bullet Train is always trying to be really quirky and weird, whereas this was just very straightforward. And I have nothing wrong with being quirky and weird. I don't. But I just feel like it tried a little too hard to be like, yeah, we're not like most movies. We're going to make jokes about Thomas the Train because it's weird and zany. Whoa. And that just wasn't for me. I was like, okay, guys, stop. Maybe I should rewatch Bullet Train at some point, but I just enjoyed this more. I liked what this was doing a lot more, and I feel like I'm going to buy this movie on Blu-ray and watch it 40 times. The best review I can give of it is that it feels like a movie I would have really liked when I was 9 years old. And I would have watched the shit out of. That I would have seen a ton of times and bought the music on iTunes. Back when I used to buy music on iTunes. Well, I bought the soundtrack on iTunes and listened to it. And that would have been my relationship with this film if it had came out in 2006. That's honestly the way I would describe this movie. Because it reminds me of the movies I really liked when I was younger, like Sahara and National Treasure. And not in like the plot elements, right? Those are more adventure films, but that's the vibes I get. Is like Sahara, and because I really liked Sahara when I was younger, and I really, really liked National Treasure, and obviously Indiana Jones too. And that's kind of what this feels. I go for Sahara and National Treasure though, because Indiana Jones is so iconic. I think National Treasure's kind of had a comeback too. I think National Treasure's low key become iconic too. But I would say Sahara. Not a ton of people have seen, right? But like to me, Sahara was a classic, and I watched it a ton. And I feel like that's how this might be, because I don't know how big of a hit it's gonna be. Right now, it looks like it's not gonna be that big of a hit. So it might be a movie that's just destined to be plopped on streaming services and Blu-rays, and some 8-year-old's gonna find it and really love it, and that makes me happy. And I think we should continue to make movies like these. But the problem is, people got to go out and see them. So somebody's got to go out and see this movie. If you're listening to this podcast, I know we only have 67 subscribers on this pod. And like 3 people listen on Spotify. But I can name some of you individually. If Gage Baker or Josh Tidd is listening, I highly recommend the film. If one of you is listening, I really appreciate it. If Gage is listening, how you doing, big dog? And if Josh is listening, Josh, this movie would be directly up your alley. No joke. But yeah, it was banger. I just really want it to do better because it's not doing very well at the box office. Are we really all gonna go see the new Planet of the Apes more than this? I don't mean to be a big hater, but like I've never cared to watch. And I know Matt Reeves made the new Planet of the Apes movies. I know, but I don't care to watch those. And I know the new one is not Matt Reeves. Obviously, he's working on Batman stuff. But then, would you rather watch more of that? Or this. To me, I think we need more of these. This is fun. The Fall Guy. People go crazy for that Nice Guys movie with Ryan Gosling. I thought it was fine. I think I need to rewatch it because I watched it last January, 2023 January. I think it was the first movie I watched the year. I think I watched it New Year's Day. And I was like, that was pretty good. But I know everybody goes crazy for some reason. And it obviously didn't do very well at the box office either. But I think this is better than that. I know people are going to get mad at me about that because people for some reason love The Nice Guys. But this movie's better than The Nice Guys. Not fooling around. It is. This movie's excellent. So, yeah, it'll be one I buy on Blu-ray and I watch a ton. And my family enjoys and my grandparents enjoy it. But hopefully you go out and see it too. It's this year's best of the year is going to be very interesting because this and Dune Part 2 are both excellent, along with another movie that Genevieve really wanted to see that I wasn't very excited for, but I thought was absolutely awesome, and that was Challengers. Last week we went and saw Challengers, so we saw Challengers Saturday night and then Fall Guys Sunday night. Challengers was amazing. Weird-ass drama is back. It felt like a movie that would have came out in 1977. Wow, was so specific. I don't know why I gave an exact year. That was weird, but I'm going to stick with it because it was just a drama about these 3 very flawed individuals that none of them you particularly like a lot, and it's a pretty, I don't want to say cohesive, but like boxed-in story told super non-linear, I don't know what the word would be. Told in a nonlinear structure with great music. Now, granted, the great music and the nonlinear, that's a little more modern, right? But the nature of it, which is just one of the biggest young movie stars in Zendaya, starring in a weird drama where she is essentially the villain. Like, out of the 3 people it portrays, I think she's the worst one. It was so, it felt more old Hollywood. It did not feel like a modern film, and I liked that. Not in the way, like, it felt very modern in the techniques and the storytelling way and the music, but the nature of the film itself, like what it was doing at its core, it was a super old school movie that way. It was a weird ass drama that like feels like you would have went to in the late 70s and walked out with your date and went, huh, well, that was interesting. Now, granted, it's a lot more homoerotic than a movie in the late 70s would have been, but I highly recommend Challengers. I think this movie is going to become very popular and very talked about, whether that is now or in 6 months or in 6 years. At some point, this movie's going to have a big push. People are going to be like, wow, this movie's really good. I really like this movie. Oh, I love it. At some point, it's going to get huge. I don't know when that'll be. Maybe it's right now. Maybe I'm not on. I make videos for TikTok, but I don't use it. So we will see. But I think at some point this movie's going to get an insane amount of praise, and I low-key think it's deserved. It was awesome. So I don't want to say anything really more about it because I just kind of want you to go see that one too. So I mean, I watched 2 movies over the weekend, and they both were very worth it. Yeah. 2024 movie's been banging. All right, here's the thing. If Kung Fu Panda 4 makes more movie than The Fall Guy, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Everyone I know went and saw Kung Fu Panda 4 was like, man, that was a disappointment. The best thing about that is that we got Jack Black to cover Hit Me Baby One More Time. That is the only good thing that came out of Kung Fu Panda 4. Other than that, I've heard it was a complete disappointment. This Fall Guy movie's awesome. Come on, guys. Step it up. Step it up, all of you. Step it up. I'm going to title this, you know what? I've decided right now, episode 95. You got to go see The Fall Guy or something like that. You should see The Fall Guy. The Fall Guy is excellent. Something like that. I'm going to promote the movie myself to all 67 subscribers. All right, that's all from me. I think I said everything I wanted to say. It feels like every June I watch Quentin Tarantino movies. I don't know why that it happens, but it somehow always does, and I think I'm going to do that soon. I don't know why Quentin Tarantino is a summer director for me, but he kind of has become a summer director. I seem to watch all his movies in the summer. So be prepared. Probably going to watch a new one soon. Probably going to be Kill Bill. I'm pretty excited for that. So I'll let you know my thoughts. Down to that, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Hateful Eight. Those are Kill Bill 1 and 2, Death Proof, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Hateful Eight are the ones I'm down to. Then I will have seen them all. That's wild. Well, and your favorite director only has 9 movies. You really got to take your time through them. Well, I guess 10 if you count Kill Bill as 2 separate. So you really got to take your time. Also, I obviously was heartbroken that the movie critic got delayed. I think we already talked about that, though. Oh, the new Superman suit. Wanted to touch on that real quick before we're done. I really like it. I wanted the blue to be a little brighter, but it's okay. People keep saying it looks too bulky. I feel like it's just the way he's sitting. As far as a suit goes, I think it's better than the Henry Cavill one. I think it has a chance to be the best one. I just wish it was a little brighter, but I like the design of it a lot. I understand people are saying too many lines, like the Sheamus theme song, but I think it's good. I honestly don't think it's bad at all. I think when we see it on screen, it'll become iconic. Just being honest. I just wish the blue was a little brighter. It's really my only real complaint. Okay, that's it from me. We'll probably have a new episode within the next week and a half. The only thing that's like really time sensitive right now is like the NBA playoffs. So, and we're kind of shifting back into whenever I feel like, because when there's not an NFL every week, I don't have as many things to say on a weekly basis. So we've just kind of shifted back to whenever I feel like I have a lot to say. And I felt like I had a lot to say this week. All right, make sure you check out Challengers or Fall Guy. Hopefully in theaters. I think both of them deserve to be seen in theaters. I honestly would say if you're going to only see one in theaters, I would say Challengers. I feel like Challengers is one you go see one time in theaters, you walk out, it sticks with you. You move on. Well, actually, you don't move on. It sticks with you. But you saw it that time, and it will stick with you. Whereas Fall Guy is one you're going to want to have on a streaming service. You can watch multiple times. It's a more rewatchable movie, and it's a bit more of a home movie, even though it's a big blockbuster. because I think Challengers really needs to be seen in the theater. It's got something to it. It's like an intensity. I don't know how to describe it. Anyways, check them out. They're both excellent. Thank you all. Bye-bye.